So, yesterday was Monday, and I was trying to mind my own business when the Nebula app on my phone notified me that Ray has been at it again. CityNerd has released yet another video. Is sprawl the answer? He asks. Obviously, no. And spoiler alert, still no. Side note, obviously, any fan of this kind of content, aka an urbanist, is already going to know the answer to this question is no. Duh. But at about 12 and a half minutes into the video, Ray did point out an interesting discovery. While perusing for population within the greater Salt Lake City metro, he stumbled upon Provo.
And I just want to talk about Salt Lake because while I couldn't find a circle with 100,000 people in the Salt Lake City metro area, I had no trouble finding it in this smaller metro area to the south. And I don't even want to theorize about what's going on here because I don't want to get in trouble.
So, as someone who has lived in Utah for over a quarter century now, I felt it my duty to shed some light on this and answer why. The answer is simple. Provo is home to Brigham Young University, aka BYU, or sometimes just the Y. BYU is the flagship higher education institution of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, aka the Mormons. But more relevant to this explanation is the fact that BYU is the opposite of a commuter campus. In addition to plentiful on-campus housing, Provo is also full of off-campus apartments to house all of those crazy BYU students. But wait, isn't Salt Lake City home to the University of Utah, aka the U of U, or sometimes just the U? Why aren't we seeing a similar cluster of density in Utah's capital surrounding Utah's flagship higher education institution? Well, despite both schools having almost identical enrollments at just above 35,000 students each, and despite both schools attracting students from all 50 states each and more than 100 countries each, the University of Utah is simply a bit more of a commuter campus. University of Utah students just live more spread out. Although in recent years, there has been a push by the U to build more on-campus housing. On top of that, the student body at the University of Utah is comprised of almost 3 times as many graduate students as the student body at Brigham Young University, which definitely changes campus dynamics. Full disclosure, I graduated from the Y in 2002 with a Bachelor of Science in Geography, but I also graduated from the U in 2018 with a Master of City and Metropolitan Planning. So I guess the universe finds a way to maintain equilibrium. But wait, there's more. Since Ray had introduced me to a new population tool thingy, I inadvertently spent the next hour of my life going down a rabbit hole. In stark contrast to Ray, I went in search of the lack of population. Initially, I set my radius to 30 kilometers, since that's an arbitrary 10 times Ray's original radius. Side note, 10 times the radius is actually 100 times the area. I remembered having explored the wilderness of central Idaho with my dad as a teenager and was easily able to find multiple locations devoid of permanent habitation along the various forks of the Salmon River. But then I increased my radius to 50 kilometers and returned to Utah, where I found no one living in our West Desert. I also found this area along Interstate 80 across the Bonneville Salt Flats, where only one person lives, thereby proving the Beatles' hypothesis that one is the loneliest number. But I had to take it further to a 100-kilometer radius. I couldn't find anywhere in the lower 48 with a population of 0, but I did find this spot in the middle of Nevada, just north of Area 51, with less than 150 people. One final side note, a 100-kilometer radius results in an area that's more than 1,000 times the area of that 3-kilometer radius. And that's all I've got. Unfortunately, I lack a cat and therefore lack gratuitous cat footage to show at the end of this video.